interrupt me with them and interject. If you have any directions that you want to take me in, I'd love this to be more of a conversation than just kind of a keynote. But I'll start off by first of all saying hi to everybody. My name's Corey Warfield. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm here in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, by way of Chicago, Illinois, where I still have a residence and where I grew up. And so at this point, I'm kind of a global citizen. And LinkedIn's what's been able to afford me to be able to work from Cusco, Peru, and Playa del Carmen, Mexico, and wherever we want, although we own our place here in Rio now. So LinkedIn has been really, really good to me. And I look at it simply as a networking event. And unfortunately, most people, and I won't extrapolate whether it's you listening or watching right now, but most people are using it wrong. If you think about a networking event, the person going around just talking about themselves isn't getting a lot of follow-up business after the networking event, right? The person that's going around kind of poking the bear or talking bad about the host, right? Typically, that's not the person that's going to get a whole bunch of positive action items coming out of the networking event. But the people that are there to have a conversation, that are there to find the right people that they should know, and particularly the people that have done a little research and known kind of who else might be in the room that they should know, those are the people that walk away with a stack full of business cards that they can text or email later and that they can set up coffees with and do business with. And I think most people here are either founders or on the other side of the family office, the high net worth individuals. Everyone comes to LinkedIn with a purpose. And the funny thing about LinkedIn is no one comes there to sell, to buy rather, and no one comes to learn. But everyone on LinkedIn seems to be trying to teach you some things so that they can buy or sell you something. I don't know why my wires are crossed today. But so if no one's there to buy or learn, but everyone's there to sell and to teach, it becomes this kind of very vicious cycle. It gets really frustrating and people feel as though they're wasting their time. People feel as though it's not very effective. Some people are using it like a straight up social media site, and you see all the comments on LinkedIn how it's not Facebook. Other people are using it incredibly professionally as though it's just a living extension of their resume. And the reality is that the people that create a brand around themselves on LinkedIn and find an audience of people who just care about what they're doing, right? They don't necessarily need to be in the same industry. They can be competitive, right? They might really resonate with what your offering is, or maybe they don't think they'll ever have a need for your offering. But as long as you become familiar as a person who's authentic and kind and you keep to your North Star, eventually they start to tell their spouse who might need to know what it is that you're doing, or they tell their boss, right, about this person that they see all the time on LinkedIn that's talking about money management or family offices or growth hacking or whatever it might be. And so the first concept that I'd just like to kind of lead with is, if you treat LinkedIn like a networking event, you speak with your audience, not at them, and you find ways to bring people into the conversation, then you can do as much selling and teaching as you want, right? It's just a function of it can't feel like either, and you need to be bringing people in. And a lot of that is just verbiage. And so the verbiage on your profile is hugely important, even as much as your headline. If it says, I help X type of persona do this, it's exclusionary because the person reading it almost certainly doesn't know who you are and hasn't been helped by you. So you're telling them that you help someone that's not them. And a lot of this is subconscious. They'll just tune out, right? Oh, they're not talking to me. Or it feels very salesy, right? I could help you do this. Okay, you're literally leading with a name tag that says, hello, my name is trying to sell you on LinkedIn. People are sick of it. It doesn't matter what comes after that. But if you can convey kind of a superpower and a value proposition in a way that people can understand, and then just start to put yourself out there as that person. I've seen dozens and dozens of people become known as the whatever person they want to be known as globally on LinkedIn, getting millions of views every month from different people around the world that are either incredibly relevant directly or who know and engage with a bunch of other people who might be. So, kind of some quick takeaways would be, if you use LinkedIn as a networking event to speak with your audience and really convey a strong value proposition with your headline, you're way ahead of the curve. And as we kind of go from the top to bottom of your profile, your banner is literally your billboard, and no one's ever going to see it unless they've chosen to come to your profile, right? So the banner doesn't necessarily need to be a picture of you shaking the president's hand. It doesn't necessarily need to be you relaxing on a floaty in a pool and in Margaritaville either. But if you think about it as your billboard, and you have the opportunity to get that in front of all of the right amount of 900 plus million people on LinkedIn, and they're in the right mindset because now they've chosen to take a moment out of their life to come to your profile. This is where you can hit them with the great value proposition that should catch their eye, and where the right person should really be thinking, wow, that sounds cool, I'd like to know more. Right? This is that your one shot where people are expecting you to come with the pitch, give them that one liner, whatever it might be. And so having a headline that brings people to your profile, ideally the right ones, and then a banner that gets them to understand what it is that you actually do, gives you in 1 second this advantage where now you become familiar. Now they get it, right? They've chosen to take a moment of their life to come to your profile, and now you've done them the service of not needing to spend another 3 minutes of their life to learn more, or to decide not to spend any more seconds of their life and just leave your profile and forget that you exist, right? So it's really strategic how you put your profile together. And if you're someone with a family office and you're looking to deploy capital, saying, I deploy capital in impact-driven companies, doesn't position you from the other 10,000 other people that are saying the same thing on LinkedIn. But if you have a headline that says something like, funding farmers using tech to feed more people, right? First of all, the right person sees that and they know that they need to speak to you. You've now made yourself a one of one. Secondly, however, if they don't think you're the right person, and then in 3 months they're speaking to someone that says, I've got this new technology that can get better, fresher food to more people, they're going to go, you know what? You really need to talk to this guy, Tony, right? That's exactly what he does. Are you guys looking to raise capital? And so that's kind of the idea behind how to optimize a LinkedIn profile. And I'll just give a quick example. The first company I ever started did absolutely nothing but get hacked by China and then Russia, and we called it quits, but it was called the swirler.com. 10 years ago, we had hundreds of reviews of wine, and I had hand-drawn wine cartoons, and we had an idea of how we'd monetize it, but then we never made a penny. And it took me a couple of years to pull my tail back behind, between my legs and come back out. And I started a quote unquote real company, and LinkedIn's what helped me scale it. But it came out of working in the restaurants for so long, when you never know when you're going to work and they change your schedule every day. And I realized data existed. And this is not a pitch for the company. I exited a long time ago. But the data existed to schedule the staff more appropriately, more predictably. We got lucky. Legislation was passed that made us almost, requiem for a lot of the larger restaurant groups. But this was about 8 years ago, and this is when I just started to take LinkedIn seriously. And my headline at the time said, waiter turned entrepreneur. And that was enough to get all the right eyeballs. And the way that I use LinkedIn to get in front of the right people is I go to their profile and I go to their activity, and I want to show up wherever they're showing up. So at the time, there was a company that had been recently formed because Burger King had so much cash on hand from their hotshot 20-year-old CEO, or 29-year-old CEO named Jose. And the corporation said, hey, we're going to give you a couple $2 billion to buy a few more restaurant groups and do the same thing that you did for Burger King. So he started Restaurant Brands International, and they bought Tim Hortons out of Canada, and they bought Popeye's Chicken in the US. And so they became this conglomerate, turning over millions of revenue daily. And Jose still the CEO, and I knew that I wanted them as a client. And at the time, I was a young, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed founder, and so I figured I'll just pitch the CEO, right? And I went to his profile, and I saw that he was not active. He had not ever posted on LinkedIn at that time. And that could have been a dead end road, right? Because if I'm looking to get on someone's radar, I want to find them and find their content and start engaging with it. And I knew I had this great headline that might resonate with him that said, waiter turned entrepreneur. But what I did is I didn't take no for an answer when I saw he didn't post it. I just went one small step further to see if he was actively engaging with other people. And he was. And it was amazing. And he was congratulating, general managers and regional managers. And so he was commenting on employees of his posts that had maybe 10 likes on them, maybe 3 or 4 comments, and all of a sudden, this guy that said he was a waiter turned entrepreneur starts supporting the same employees, right? Within days, I got a connection request from Jose Sills, CEO of Restaurant Brands International. He said, "Hey, Corey, I've been seeing you pop up on my news feed. I saw your headline. I'd love to learn a bit more about you." Right? All of a sudden, the CEO of a $10 billion corporation that's my target legitimately reached out to me asking me to pitch him.
Amazing.
Right? Like, insane, right? And so I did, and I told him what we were up to, and he said, "Okay, great. I have a director of operations named Theo Carmuca. I told him to expect to hear from me. Here's his email." Now, good marketing can kill a bad business. I got to pitch Jose's guy Theo Carmuca, and it turns out our tech wasn't good enough for them. They had something already better. It was cheaper, and they didn't have the compliance issues. However, being able to even get that pitch and have the door open to me by this guy's superior, who in his own right was a global executive at this company, was my first real aha moment. It's like, wait, that worked, right? Having a headline that resonates with the right person and getting in front of them without being too pushy quite literally worked. And at this point, I'm friends with the co-founder of LinkedIn, Eric Levi, doing the same strategy. I'm connected to and have a rapport with the CEO of LinkedIn, Ryan Roslinski. And, I'm in a number of industries now, and I have people from all of the top companies, whether it's OpenAI, whether it's Microsoft, whether it's Google, have become fans of mine. And the most viral post I ever had said it had 3 million views on it. And that's because it reset at 10 million views back then. That was as high as the views could be listed. So it had 13 million views, 100,000 likes on this post. And it's still, I have it featured on my profile because I'm proud of it. Because it was really just a byproduct of learning the algorithm and getting on the right person's radar. But the person that engaged on that post that took it to millions of views within 72 hours was a woman named Kate Johnson. Kate was a general manager at Microsoft. She was one of their global executives. But she'd gone on to work at several other companies as a senior executive and was also on the board of UPS. And the post was about UPS, and she engaged with it right away. And she now has a company called Lumens. It's amazing. But she's become someone that is now familiar with me as well because I used the same exact strategy, and I got on her radar by engaging with her with a profile that was optimized. So I know that was a diatribe. I'm going to shut up and see if there's any remarks or questions from the audience and or Danielle, if you want to take it in any direction. But really, that's how I used LinkedIn. That's how I probably encourage everyone on this call to at least look at and potentially look at using LinkedIn as well.
I would love, Corey, I am such a visual person. Most everyone in this group knows that. I love doing the demos so you can see and experience. And I think for me, the most powerful thing as well, I mean, I'm a cheerleader. I love engaging with people's posts, and that's a great way to organically get on their radar, not putting them on the defense, selling you, drawing them to you. But the importance of that headline in when you are commenting, that's really what they are seeing. They don't care if you're a CEO or this or that. I mean, it's all kind of becomes less important. But when you have this powerful tagline and you're commenting, are you able to share your screen and just show kind of an example of what that might look like?
Absolutely. And I'll show a couple of my favorites, and they're people that I've coached, so I am partial. But the reason that I really love these headlines specifically is that they've really been powerful in converting to substantial revenue. And so I do want to first make sure, is my screen visible?
Yes.
Fantastic. So I'm going to call out, and actually I was eating my own dog food here, guys. This company, Right Sonic, I like. So I was just on, I'd gone there, found their people, because I happen to know that they're looking to hire someone like myself, and it's this person, the head of influencer marketing at Right Sonic. So I went on and I was engaging with them. But so now let's go to a couple of headlines. And the first thing that I'm going to suggest is just see how this headline feels when you read it right away. And then understand that every time she posts ever, people see the first 10 words. So they see, "I will get you a 6-figure job you love. DM yes to join the next free masterclass." So every time she posts, people see all of that. Now, When she comments, and I'll show you both of this in a moment, when she comments on anyone on LinkedIn's content, however, they're going to see, I will get you a six-figure job you love. Hard stop. How many people on LinkedIn want a six-figure job that they love? There's right, like almost everybody. Even if you have a six-figure job that you don't love, or right, you're hoping to maybe make a six-figure commission as a salesperson, but this headline resonates with so many people, and I'll show how it looks when she posts. You look at the top, Natalie Fisher, I will get you a six-figure job you love, DM yes to join the next free master class. Right, so a post like this, she posted a day ago, it's got 73 likes, it's probably got in the neighborhood of 5,000 views. That'd be 5,000 people that will have seen that she gets you a six-figure job that you love, DM yes to join this next free master class. But watch this. If I now come to comments, she's gone to the finance head at Google, who's a LinkedIn top voice, right? And although the post is doing very well on their own, Natalie gets to be the top comment on this post right now, and it says, I will get you a six-figure job you love. How many people that are following Stephanie are going to resonate with that headline? I'll actually answer that question in just a moment. But so here's a person that's people over products, relationship marketing. I suspect that she's someone that took Natalie's masterclass. She commented underneath and it says, I will get you a six-figure job you love. And not to call Natalie out, but she came to me and I coached her a few months ago. She was doing a masterclass a month, getting hoping to get 1,000 signups. And if she got 1,000 signups, it would translate to a certain percentage of clients for her coaching. And that would equate to a certain five-figure revenue that was good. And she was happy-ish with it, right? And that turned into her six-figure job and she started this thing. Well, she now, last month, she had a six-figure day. She's now got so many signups that she's doing multiple master classes a month, but it used to take her a month to get the 1,000 signups. She got, I think it was 3,000 signups with one post in the course of 48 hours because the post went viral. And then you see here, I will get you a six-figure job. You love DM yes to join the next free master class. I'll show you another headline that I absolutely love. This is a guy. The day that he and I came up with this headline, and when I coach people, the headline's the first thing that we come up with. It's by orders of magnitude the most important thing on the LinkedIn profile. But the first time that he posted with this headline, and within 15 minutes or so, he had two people that literally messaged him. They DM'd him with the word yes. And if we look at them, got ADHD, turn it into a superpower in 4 minutes a day, DM yes for a discovery call. That's it. He got so much business in his first month for his coaching that he had to train and hire, I think it was either 2 or 3 more people to do the coaching work for him as well, right? And so the headline is so effective. You know exactly what he does. And if you don't have ADHD, you don't not like him. You look at that profile picture and you can't not like David Citron. And he's as nice a guy as he looks in this picture, right? But you're not turned off if you don't have ADHD. And maybe next year you find out from a doctor or therapist that you do have ADHD, or maybe your kid does, or your spouse does, or your boss does. This guy goes so viral. You can see he's pushing 250,000 followers. You'll see that underneath his call to action, Unleashed ADHD Superpower 4 minutes. But this headline makes people with ADHD on LinkedIn, of whom there are tens of millions or more, feel seen and heard for the first time ever. And, you know, they get the whole squirrel, shiny object syndrome. So when they come here, they came here because they like the headline, but then their eyes immediately go to this multicolored, you know, two-tone X that's right next to his head, and that draws their eyes directly to where it says, where ADHD becomes your superpower. It is a very close, resounding message without being exactly the same words. Right? There's so much strategy involved. And so once the right person's come and they've seen this, now they scroll down a little bit to the about section. And I'm going to encourage everyone to think of the about section. By the way, I need to tell him he still needs to put a logo for Espresso Coaching under his experience. But the about section is someone that's not only taken time out of their time on LinkedIn to come to your profile, but now something up here was enough to get them to want to what? actually know more about you. So they've scrolled halfway down your profile to the about section. And so many people's about section either reads like a CV or a resume, or a very stale, I got my MBA at Stanford and, I went on to work as a mail clerk, whatever it might be. But this brings you in. Got time for the 1 minute story behind the espresso revolution, right? If you don't have 1 minute for it, then you're probably not his person. But a person that has ADHD that's chosen to take a minute of their life to come and find out about him is going, yeah, I do. Right. And now they get the payola. They get a quick story. It's about him, what he was doing wrong, what he did differently, the results, and boom, it turned into this amazing company. And you can just DM yes or pop yes to this email to book a discovery call, see how I can help you. Right. If we look at Natalie's about section as well, it brings people in. Right. So now people have seen this not only great headline, but they've chosen to come here, and it says, with my help, you can find and thrive in a 6-figure job you love. Right. Amazing. So now they want to learn more, and they come down here, and she says, I became the career coach for others that I needed when I was unexpectedly laid off. Recruiters told me what I wanted was unrealistic and impossible. I struggled, right? And at least conceptually, that's enough for people to go, okay, I want to know more. So they hit the see more, and here they come. So I'm going to just use family offices as an example. Actually, first, before I even go into that, I'll just stay in my newsfeed for a second, and I'll say I've never heard of, even though I'm an AI influencer and an avid AI user, I've never heard of Calibri.ai. Generative AI for the enterprise means nothing to me. So this guy, although we're first connections, I see in an hour, right, in 55 minutes, only 2 people have liked his post. Nobody's commented on it because he's speaking at his audience. He's trying to teach you something so that he can sell you something. But that headline is so uninspired. Okay, you're one of 100,000 people on LinkedIn that says you're CEO of a company I've never heard of, and I'm just going to keep scrolling. I don't know Tanya Jareen, but I see that she's faculty at Wichita State University, cybersecurity, computer network. That means very little to me. I'm just going to keep scrolling. I don't know what Bold TV is, and it doesn't, okay, he went to Harvard. These headlines don't grab attention in your newsfeed. Craft Beauty Lab, whatever, right? I don't even know what that is. But now, let's just try to find a headline that grabs our attention as we're scrolling. NYC's Arts and Culture Guest Experience Advisor, LinkedIn Top Voice. I do happen to know Will, and I love him, but I'd say that's somewhat compelling. This guy is talking about all the followers he has, although it looks like he doesn't necessarily understand the space function. But helping job seekers, I'm not a job seeker, so that didn't super grab my attention. But the point being, as we're scrolling, a lot of these aren't grabbing your attention, or even worse, are you a health rookie? I don't know. I don't care. I don't associate as one. So he already lost my attention. Mental fitness coach for the high performer, performance something. Okay, get another mental fitness coach on LinkedIn that I'm not going to hire. I see she was able to go somewhat viral. But then we have this. This says introvert, which I can relate to. I'm not inherently an introvert, but it says I am not a coach. That's at least funny, right? There's so many coaches on LinkedIn, including myself, that someone's saying I am not a coach, and then says 36 million, assuming impressions. That's somewhat impressive, and I see that his post got over 1,000 likes in 4 hours. So I'm bought into the fact that this guy might be an influencer, and I'm actually so bought in that I'm going to hit the follow button. And this is just a real-time example of what a good headline can do. I had never heard of him before. He now just got a new follower, and I happen to be, someone that my engagement can help people go even more viral on LinkedIn. So that could end up being helpful for him. I like Fabio's art. I've shared it before. We have a friendship, but digital content creator, AI artist doesn't mean a lot. Student of life, reaching for the stars to create conscious serendipity. That grabs my attention a little bit. And although Benny's an actual friend of mine, his dog, he calls me his uncle's dog. But somehow the guy left a job at one of the top 5 consulting agencies to start his own thing, where he says that he creates conscious serendipity. And although I don't fully understand what that means, which is just a good data point when you're thinking about writing a headline, Somehow he's turned it into a company that's been able to do 6 figures of revenue and get 6 figures of sponsorship for what they're doing. His company's called Orion 3. But so somehow that headline is resonating with enough people that see creating conscious serendipity, or reaching for the stars to create conscious serendipity, and they're reaching out to do business with him. So on the one hand, I'm not seeing that many headlines that are really grabbing my attention, which kind of gives the opportunity for it to be a blue sky opportunity. But also to see how many of these are just transactional, early stage at Drive Capital. Okay, right. There's so many investors on LinkedIn, and probably most people on the call have been on one or the other or both sides of that. But there's nothing compelling about early stage at Drive Capital. Whereas Landon's actually one of the people, Drive Capital is, I believe, a $1 billion fund, and he's super focused on investing in underrepresented, underserved founders, and they're really bullish on things that can help humanity. So rather than saying early stage at Drive Capital, which I don't know is going to get most people to stop scrolling, if this said something like investing in underrepresented founders, helping uplift humanity, a lot of people would see that and know who Landon needed to talk to, or if their company checked those boxes, or if they were looking to raise capital, they at least would have some more reason to reach out to him, other than that he's early stage at a VC that someone may or may not have heard of. So I'm going to show you guys, with the presumption that you're kind of seeing what works and doesn't work so well for a headline, a way that you can use LinkedIn once you've got a great headline, or even now, but to get your headline in front of all of the right people. So if I come and I search for family offices, or let's even get a little more specific and say family office investment. There it is. And now I search for that, and I filter to content, so posts. It's going to give me people that are posting about family office investment. This guy Martin's a Harvard board advisor, global family office and family business expert. This might be somebody. He's delighted to share his exclusive interview, and 100 people liked it. 26 people had something to say, unless some of those comments were him. Let's see if he's commenting back. He is. So the first comment is himself. The third comment is him. I presume that this, yeah. So even though it says there are 26 comments on Martin's post, it looks like only about 12 people other than him had anything to say. So on the one hand, it's the Me TV show. Nobody really cares that he's delighted to share his exclusive interview unless they know who he is already, or unless maybe they're a fan of what Tech Barbecue is. He then gives the bullet points. But if he's somebody that you did want to get on the radar of, all you would have to do is be one of the 12 people that commented on his post. We see here, he's responding to every single comment. Meaning that if you wanted to get a conversation going with him, I mean, every single comment, first of all, the guy's must have nothing but time on his hands, right? The only person he didn't respond to is the takedown expert, right? That commented a week later. Everyone else's we see is 3 weeks ago. Muhammad's is only 2 weeks ago. But we could get a conversation going with with Martin rather, right away. And every time Martin comments, we see that he's a Harvard board advisor. But with Kaven, we see that he's head of PR and communications at somewhere. Right, with Pankaj, we see these global CEO, chairman, and president at somewhere. I see the flags. I think it's Pakistan and America. But so with this engineer, Mohammed Momtaz, we see that he's a QA, QC inspector at Trojan Construction. My point being, these don't really grab a whole lot of attention. But imagine if someone commented on Martin's post and their headline says, I get you a 6-figure job you love, DM me for free masterclass, or I get you a 6-figure job that you love. A lot of people that are trying to get his attention probably are going to see that headline and want to reach out to Natalie. So Natalie's able to not necessarily hijack Martin's post, but she's able to get his entire audience's visibility. And we come here, the guy's got 70,000 followers. So she has the potential to get in front of tens of thousands of followers of a Harvard board advisor with her awesome headline. And so now we can come, this is talking presumably, yes, about investing in India. We see that posted fairly well as well. But now we come, this guy's an ambassador at VC Engine and the Family Office Club. So the Family Office Club may be competitive to Family Office list, or it may be complementary to Family Office list. And so anytime you see somebody that you want to know more about, you go to their profile. And it's interesting, 2 hours ago, he's kind of teaching his audience the same thing. The LinkedIn profile isn't just a resume, it's your personal sales page. So it's an interesting overlap here. And he's wanting people to join his Discord server, venture starters. So interestingly, and this is how much people will scrutinize your LinkedIn profile, they're going to come and see that he's an ambassador at the Family Office Club. He's also an ambassador at Gigo Clean. You see that he's still at both of them. He's also an ambassador at VC Engine. So he's been taking more and more ambassador roles every 3 or so months. Meanwhile, he's the investors and founders community at Venture Starters. And he's been there for 1.5 years. It says he's still there. And it also says he's the co-founder. So, and he just stopped being the ambassador at Thai SoCal Angels. So he's in the world, but he's got basically what he's claiming to be 4 full-time jobs right now. Went from co-founder to BDA, an advisor at this Venture Starters. I don't see a whole lot of social proof from Venture Starters. Although when I come to their page, they've got 8,800 almost followers. 100 of my connections follow them. They launched only in August of 2022, so it's been just over 1 year, and they've got the better part of 10,000 followers. So it does seem as though they're doing something right. I don't know if people on the call, if this is someone that they would want to know, or if he's the right person for anybody, but you can just start to go down this list. And that's family office investment. But now let's come and do impact investment. And now we can just filter again to content, and we can see nothing but people that are posting about impact investment. And half of them are probably going to be funders. The other half are probably going to be founders. But this is just a way to get a whole list of people that you can get on the radar of. This guy looks like he's the founder of a foundation, so they're probably trying to raise money. This guy is the CEO at BNY Mellon, helps spark our clients' liquidity. But so the point being, not only do you see their headlines, but you see this list of people, and you've now seen how you can get on any of their radars by commenting on their posts with the right headline. So I'm going to come back in for a second. Danielle, was that kind of the visual that you were hoping for?
Yes, I'm so visual, and just being able to see the way that little snippet, so that as you're commenting, it really does have the potential to say so much more than just CEO of a company they haven't, heard of. And one really powerful tool that all of our clients have is, say they have a very specific impact opportunity and they're looking for a single family office, and, all these parameters, they can plug that into our database. They can download that list, and boom, they have their targeted LinkedIn URLs for everyone they want. Then it's like, take that, go to LinkedIn. Are these people active? Can you engage? How do you get on their radar? And it's, yes, you post your own content, which you touched on, an inclusive language and drawing people in so they resonate, they get to know you, the person behind the company, the investment, they earn the trust, but it's about you getting to know them and starting a dialogue. I think I have just as much fun posting as I do supporting, and not just like good post, insightful, but put some thought into it, something that almost deems a response from them. So you're having an open dialogue, and people get to see that and chime in. And it's really amazing the kind of community it starts to form. And people now are tagging me that, because this is something Danielle just spoke about yesterday, and let's get her involved in the conversation.
Yeah, and it's so different than a direct message to somebody, because anyone else can see that exchange as well. And that's where we talk about people aren't here necessarily on LinkedIn to buy or to learn, but people are here to network. So if they get to know what you're all about or how you feel about a certain thing, people love to do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And you can build that rapport with people every single day. And often people ask me how much time they should spend a day on LinkedIn. And what I say is, put in the time on the front end, call it an hour a day for a bit, just to get things humming. If at that point you're getting multiple inbound leads when you spend more time on LinkedIn, then spend more time there if the leads are going to be beneficial. If you're raising capital, why not get on 8, 10, 20 times more investors' radars, right? Get your lead investor quicker, and then get all your follow-on capital quicker. If you're an ultra high net worth individual and you're looking for potential investment opportunities or potentially other offices to deploy capital in, why not find people that are talking about that on LinkedIn and just become familiar with them as well? And at that point, if every 30 people that you get a direct conversation with converts to $100,000 worth of opportunity, then it's a function of, do you want to get on one person's radar a month and get $100,000 of opportunity monthly, or do you want to get on one person's radar every single day and get, right, $30 million worth of potential opportunity in that same month? And if you can do that by spending an extra hour on LinkedIn a day and being intentional with your engagement, then to me, the numbers don't lie.
Yeah, definitely. I think too, so many people challenge, they hate cold outreach, and I agree. Cold outreach, it's just, you can see it a mile away. It puts people on the defense. They're getting it, they're getting bombarded. So you have to do something different, and it's just being yourself and kind of sharing, having a dialogue about the things you care about, the things that you're doing. What value are you kind of bringing to this, ideal investor, that you have, who the people you're seeking, bring them to you, be the magnet that draws them in, so you're not needing to, chase them. I think it seems so counterintuitive, but the second you start posting in that way.
Well, and something that you've been doing really well, and that I really look for in people that are fully leveraging LinkedIn to get the right inbound conversations, is by the time someone's done reading your own post, they're open to a call to action, right? As long as it's not too salesy, too gimmicky, as long as they have some value that they perceive from your post, whether it was a laugh or something to think about or space to share an opinion or a perspective or whatever it might be, people almost don't quite trust someone that doesn't give at least a little open door or window or a slight CTA at the end. So once you've crafted your profile to where your headline is going to get in front of millions of people and resonate with the right ones of those are going to come to your profile, check you out, maybe even go down to your about section and see your content. At that point, the algorithm's highly likely to show your content to them anyway in their newsfeed, because they've shown enough interest in you and the algorithm has picked that up. So now your posts are starting to resonate with the right people, and your headline at the top is, at the end, let them know, right? If you're looking to deploy capital, or if you're raising capital, or if you care about universal basic income, or if you want to learn generative AI, or whatever kind of that call to action is, leaving that there. And as long as it's not a link to a competitive platform like Google's YouTube, you can even leave a link to your calendar in your post, or a link to your website in your post, or do a recent blog. And touching on blogs, on LinkedIn, if you go to an article, you can publish it as a newsletter instead of an article. That then creates a LinkedIn newsletter that will invite everyone that ever connects with you or follows you to subscribe to immediately. They will start to push that longer form content out as well. So now you can start doing a monthly newsletter about, your company's progress, or your fundraise, or about your fund and the capital that you're deploying, or the companies that you've invested into your portfolio, right? And that becomes something where it drives even more people to your profile, establishes you even more as a thought leader. And on the subject of thought leadership, People may have seen the news. OpenAI is raising another round of funding at now nearly a $90 billion valuation with a B, up from just around 30 billion. Of that 30 billion, most of that was put in by Microsoft. And so Microsoft is the majority shareholder. On paper, it was 49%. I think it's now going to edge up in this next round, but owner in OpenAI who makes ChatGPT. That said, LinkedIn and Microsoft want to create a professional AI, generative AI. They want their own language model, and they do not want it informed by Google or by any of the other search engines or influenced by material that might be copywritten by, famous authors or things of that nature. So LinkedIn's going all in on AI. First of all, with the proof of humanity, making people prove that they're real people on their profiles. And then by letting people contribute once they've contributed to their collaborative articles. And those are mechanisms by which they're training their entire AI. Because they know it's real people, they know it's real people's thoughts. They do have an instrument in place to make sure people aren't just copy and pasting things from ChatGPT. There are ways that they can tell if something was written by a different AI. And as long as you're writing real comments there, it's different than a comment on a post because no one can respond. But the algorithm picks that up. You're informing a model. This is where you can even mention things about your own services or your own company, and it will become part of a LinkedIn AI that's part of a play that they believe will be $100 billion+ play. And the collateral damage of commenting on these collaborative articles is they like to reward the people doing it by awarding them LinkedIn Top Voice badges. These are gold community badges that appear on the top of your profile as well. And so you're kind of getting a lot of benefit out of building your brand on LinkedIn, especially if you're using it to also contribute to an AI, be part of the fabric of that, establish yourself as a thought leader in these collaborative articles where strangers are going to see you. And again, to bring it all back to full circle, they're going to see your headline. So if you go to some article about raising capital and it's saying what are some of the best under-leveraged places to raise capital, and you go in and you talk about family office and family office list and about the different resources and how people often don't even go that route because they're too worried about impressing a VC or begging their friends and family for more money, all of a sudden that becomes part of not only an AI, but everyone reading that article cares about the same thing. Most of them are going to be second and third connections, and they're all going to see your headline. So the other ones that say YC 2023 creating an alpha hydro startup, right? And it's like, okay. And then they see I'm the plug to family offices, and they're like, oh, I need to talk to that person, right? Huge difference just by changing a few words in that headline. So I can't overstate the importance and significance of that headline enough, but once you have that dialed in, it becomes relatively easy to get it in front of so many of the right people in so many of the right places.
Will you show us as well, Corey? This was like basics 101 that I just simply did not know, but I did not have like an officially claimed profile. You have to enter a document to ensure that you are a human, and that will help LinkedIn boost your posts once you are a verified account. So very, very simple. Just you only know what you know.
Yeah, and they've just changed it now. So if you come here, you'll see next to my name, it has the little shield with a check mark in it. That's now how they're saying that it's a verified account. And I was wondering why it wouldn't let me verify for some time. It's because my wife's last name is Lapish, and I adopted her last name as well when we got married just almost a year ago. In 2 weeks, it'll be a year. But that didn't match my official documentation. And my location said Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, where I am. But in order to be a LinkedIn Top Voice and to verify your profile, it needs to match your ID. So I had to change my name to Corey Warfield. It let me put kind of the nickname in there. And I had to put my location back to Chicago. But once you've done that, you'll see that if I come here to resources, personal demographic, no, so they've moved this as well. If I come to the three dots next to ads section, and I go to about this profile. It says verifications, identity verified by clear using government ID less than 6 months ago. So this is where you would come, and if you're not verified, that pencil, if you click it, to give you the opportunity to verify either your own identity using your ID, or it will let you verify your workplace by using your workplace email, or you can verify both.
Awesome. Well, I am being cognizant of our time, and I promised that there would be time for Q&A. I know that there's one there now, but I invite you all. I mean, Corey is just such a wealth of information, and I mean, I think I took a like 4-hour masterclass. I meet with him once a week. There's endless opportunities to learn. There's never enough time to learn it all. But we'd love to open it up to any questions. There's one there now, and it says, is there a way to figure out what the best search terms are, or is it short and quick bullet points? I think, you know, the same way I say no two family offices are alike, I think, you know, no two clients, you all have your own unique objectives. But Corey, you might have some color to add to that.
Yeah, well, I think it's a really good question, and there's not a silver bullet answer, but I think the short answer would be just get into the mindset of the archetype that you're wanting to reach. So if you're looking to raise capital, don't type in startups, because the people that are using hashtag startups or that are talking about startups are actually also chasing the same dollars, likely from the same people. So if you have a startup in music tech, right, and you type in music tech, the people that are probably looking to invest in music tech are talking about their music tech investments, or they're asking what the innovations are in the music tech space. So that would be a much better keyword than startups, or even just music, because music could mean anything. It could be, you know, somebody doing sound healing, or somebody that's coming out with a new album, or their kids deciding to be a rapper on YouTube. But you put in the music tech, right? And suddenly that becomes something where the right people are probably posting about it. Or, you know, if you have a family office and you're looking to bring in some more investors into that family office, typing family office might be a bit competitive, right? Because a lot of those people may be pushing their family office, whereas you're trying to push your family office. But if you typed in something along the lines of where to deploy capital, now it's going to bring up posts and things from people that are actively looking at where to deploy capital. Well, now you engage with their posts and they see that you're the plug to a family office because that's your business. And right, all of a sudden, you're that one person that got on their radar. So I think, you know, to Danielle's point, it is very personal to what it is that you're hoping to accomplish and who you're hoping to speak to. But understanding the actual archetype of the person and what they would be discussing already, rather than what you want them to see, I think is probably the best starting point.
Such good feedback. There was a question, will we be recording this? And yes, we're recording this. We will follow up with the recording and some additional just insights to help you in your LinkedIn journey. It's, you know, it's a process. Let's see, I'm always curious, you know, you see these content writers out there coming, you know, to advertise. What are your thoughts? You know, I feel so much of it is about getting to know you and authenticity right now and storytelling, but have you seen, yeah, what is your take on hiring someone to write your content?
I shy away from it because, again, this is personal brand building. And if people think they have a rapport with you and then they get on the call and it's a different tonality, or, you know, it's just a bunch of pictures of you, and, you know, now they get on a call with your assistant, or, you know, to me, that's where a lot of business and trust is lost. I think taking the time to build the brand on the front end, understanding not only your voice and whom it will resonate with, becomes something that really can't be done by somebody else, even if they know you fairly well. Now, the caveat that I'll give is I have worked with people and I've seen people that have taken the time to build their own brand to the extent that they can then kind of push it off on someone else to maintain that brand. typically it'll still come at a little bit of a hit. It'll start to look more like Canva templates, and it'll start to feel a little bit more salesy. And at that point, they're probably more so looking to just leverage the relationships that they've already built. But once you have a fully established brand, there are some leeways potentially. But I've never seen someone successfully have someone build their brand for them on LinkedIn. You can do it on Instagram and on Twitter and Facebook and on even Snapchat, and you have someone doing post-production with B-rolls and all of that kind of stuff. But on LinkedIn, my 7-8 year expertise of testing the algorithm and seeing what does and doesn't work is overwhelmingly it should be you building your own brand and creating your own content.
Right. This question is kind of in line with it as well. I know I've asked it of you as well, but to what extent should we be leveraging generative AI to create content? What is the right balance between original content and leveraging generative AI?
So I am an AI educator. I am an AI maxi. I have my own AI company, and I use AI every day. So through that lens, please understand the sincerity when I say that the mix should be 0% created by generative AI and 100% not created by generative AI. I will give a stipulation, which is it can be great to use generative AI. And as of yesterday, ChatGPT has their browser version back, although it's terrible at the moment. But you can use generative AI to see what's trending, to come up with ideas of what to write, to come up with maybe 10 different themes or subjects that you can discuss, and you can give it the custom instructions so it can know everything about you. But when it comes to actually writing the content, the first thing is all of us have seen posts on LinkedIn and known right away that they were written by ChatGPT. You have to go through and change every word in order for it not to feel like it was written by ChatGPT anyway. So at that point, you might as well have just written it yourself, right? No one speaks the way that ChatGPT writes. No one ever says, so let's all just go do this thing, or so troopers, right? I mean, the emojis, it's comically perceptible. And not only do people see that and go, wow, Timmy couldn't take the 5 minutes to write that himself, right? And so you lose credibility, you lose some of that social capital and social proof that you can build pretty quickly on LinkedIn. But the other thing is the algorithm scans that and it goes, they use ChatGPT, and invariably they will show it to fewer people. There are exceptions of people that go viral with ChatGPT content. I have to imagine they're either using bot farms or just have big engagement groups where a bunch of people are supporting, frankly, substandard content. But algorithmically, it does not like generated posts. And again, it's just not building that authentic brand. So if you want to use it to do market research, I'll give you an example. There have been times where I'll see maybe a really cool small jellyfish that has electricity coursing through it, and it pulses in different ways. And I want to make sure, first of all, that that's a real creature, so I don't look like an idiot. Second of all, that I know a couple things about it. I can go to ChatGPT or any of the other AIs out there and say, please tell me 5 interesting facts about this type of jellyfish for a LinkedIn post. And it'll give them to me, and it'll have all the silly little emojis and everything, and I won't copy and paste any of that, but I will now know different data points that I can put into my post. So using it as an assistant, using it as a researcher, there are a lot of things that it can still supplement, but the actual writing of the content, at least from my perspective, it's a no-go.
So it's so tempting, but that's really great to hear that the algorithm will actually detect that. So very good feedback. So here's one, just kind of about, we have these communication options, but so many are becoming irrelevant. Emails are getting inundated. And this person says, I know you said cold emails are dead, but what are the other options that are difficult to gain traction given the sophistication of people? And I mean, it's a really good question. There's so much technology. Many of you have a very sophisticated audience in general. what channels, and that's, I'll let Corey answer, and I have some additional thoughts.
Well, for me, it's all about getting inbound attention from the right people on LinkedIn. But I won't even call it a shameless plug, although I'm coaching the founders of this company. But there's a company called Voice, WOIS. It stands for World of Impactful Speakers. And I believe they're changing the entire paradigm. They're letting people create profiles where they have little videos of themselves talking about what they do professionally or what they know professionally, or stories from their life. They're using it for people to build digital legacies and to be able to really leave like your wisdom and your life and digestible video nuggets for your kids and grandkids. And I say it's like LinkedIn meets TikTok, but they're finding ways to curate and get these short videos of yourself to the right people to upload and put them in libraries. To me, I've been hearing for years that video is, taking over and everything's going video and video is king. I believe there's a lot of merit to that in virtually every industry. I know when videos embedded within emails were a big thing for a while, those were highly effective as well. I really think people like being able to pick up on people's vibes and see in their eyes and see their smile and hear their tone of voice, hear their sincerity. And the only way that I believe that can be done effectively right now is through videos, and especially short videos, and Voice is using AI to get the right videos in front of the right people. So, it's not necessarily a plug for them, although I'm blown away by the platform and the founders. But I think between using the right social media channels and, in my assessment, the answer is almost always LinkedIn, but I know different people have different use cases. And I had a lady come to me with an app for single mothers. I was like, I'm sure there's millions of single mothers on LinkedIn, but you probably should be spending your time on Facebook, right? I was like, that I think is where the groups are more active and there's more of that type of a community. I don't know that women on LinkedIn are as receptive to like, hey, join my app, unless the other side of that is because I've got a great job for you or because I want to, retain you to provide this service kind of a thing. But yeah, I'd say if your LinkedIn strategy is working, you should be getting plenty of the right inbound conversations. So you wouldn't need to do anything outbound, whether it's cold emails, cold calls, cold messages, or anything like that. And then, there's the new platforms, like I mentioned, that I think are going to be disruptive.
Yeah, to add to what Corey said, I think the beauty of his strategy is you're drawing them to you. They're coming to you, so there's nothing cold about that. But be armed with, a response where how can you offer this person value without just selling them or asking them for something right away. Establish a dialogue. So again, you're pulling them to you. You want them to be like, well, send me your pitch. You're like, okay, you asked, And I do agree, the video, the warmth, some of that can be communicated through your chat, but, really having the tools to get on a video call or even just send a very personalized, you want this all to be, getting to know the people making the decisions. These are partnerships. And so the more you can do through video, through virtual communication.
Well, and that spawned a quick tip that I'd love to share with some people that just might not have thought of it. If you're looking to get in with maybe an executive of a multi-billion-dollar fund or a multi-billion-dollar company, or you have a portfolio company and you want to connect them with, maybe a global executive at Google, they all have executive assistants that are active on LinkedIn. And so when you use LinkedIn like a search engine, you can literally type in like Chief People Officer Google Executive Assistant, and they'll just come up. And they're almost always active and they're almost always ignored. And their posts are usually getting 18 likes or less every time they post. And they're usually posting 3-4 times a week. So you get a headline that they're going to resonate with, and you engage with those posts of theirs for a week or so. And next thing you know, similarly to what we've been discussing already, but the gatekeeper of the chief people officer at Google is reaching out to you going, hey, looks like you're the plug at family offices. Google has a family office. I wonder if there's some synergies. And you say, hey, thanks for reaching out. That's actually very interesting, right? You always want people to think things are their great idea rather than say, oh yeah, I've been working on you for a week. But yeah, I mean, using LinkedIn as a search engine and then using the strategy of getting on the right people's radars by engaging with them. And candidly, sometimes you can even, if you've engaged with them a few times, you can tag them in a comment on your own post and just say, you know, this post is all about sustainable and regenerative farming. I wonder what Sasha at Google thinks about this. And Sasha comes in and she's like, wow, I've been seeing you around, and this is actually something I really care about. Now, she doesn't know you did a whole post about regenerative farming because she cares about it too, right? That's where some of the strategy comes in, and you never want to be too creepy, but there's so many ways that once you've identified the right people on LinkedIn, to your point, Danielle, like the list that you give your clients, that list can be used to get in front of so many of the right people. And in business, you know, we often say sometimes you need to get to enough of the right no's so you can get to the perfect yes, or, you know, you want to get rid of the wrong people so you can make room for the right people. So not every person you reach out to on LinkedIn is going to be the right person or be responsive to this strategy, but overwhelmingly, this strategy works, and it works really well.
Well, what an amazing way to end on a high note. This was so awesome, Corey. Thank you so much for your time, your wisdom, your insight. I can't wait to hear, you know, what sorts of wonderful things this unlocks for our audience. So I will make sure that everyone gets a recording so you can share with your team, and I will share Corey's information as well. So if you have additional questions, he's there as a resource. And yeah, I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day.
Thank you so much, Danielle. Thanks for everyone for taking the time to attend.
Thank you.